In the top left-hand side, our blue Protoss player from ABYDOS, the challenger, is going to be Creator. Yo, D-Money, Ho686, thank you so much for the Prime for the 1-year resub. Much appreciated. Oh, that one. No, cancel the phone call. I was meant to put the I forgot which one it was. It's been a while. It has been a while since I pushed those buttons. Gate gas probe coming up, couple drones and a hatchery coming out. And again, obviously pretty standard to begin with as we get this underway. No hatchery on the natural expansion from Serral because it was hatchery blocked. Creator likes to do that. He does it pretty much every single time in the PvZ. Not every Protoss does that, so it's a little intriguing to kind of keep an eye on. As we otherwise just get this hatch gas and pool all set up and ready to roll. Lovely. Alright, so all this coming out, all this getting underway. Seeing where we're going to take things. As here you have our Nexus and our Cybercal all coming out for the moment and just figuring out what we're going to do in these early stages. Just trying to see perhaps we can get going for ourselves here in this first game. Creator has a lot of very funky builds, you know, very fun builds as well. And of course, he did very nearly beat Serral in Gamers 8. I don't think we can forget about that. He was it Creator? No, it was Classic, right? No, Classic did beat Serral. What was the Creator played Serral as well, right? And I was just thinking, I was surprised maybe that actually we casted Serral Creator, but it was Serral Creator, right? And Creator kind of messed up the gateway set charge lot all in the final game. Yeah, sorry, I got myself confused in my head. So yeah, Serral just about managed to do that one. I was just going to see a Robo Facility opening, something a little bit different from Creator, so already seeing him kind of mix things up that little bit here. Let's set up with something just a little bit offbeat from, again, the kind of usual expectations. As the lane goes down, the Adept gets chased back a little bit as well, so we just push that around for a while. As the Robo Bay will start, so actually going to go super fast Robo Bay. This is usually like a Colossus or Disruptor drop, actually, which is going to be very interesting if that's what we actually play out into. Deb pulls back to the wall, just going to be seeing that Prism on the way up. It's about halfway done. So we'll wait for that Robo Bay to finish and see exactly what it is that Creator would like to do. I was just going to see our Overlord coming across. He's going to see the Prism. He's going to see the Robo Chrono Boosters. I think Serral has a very good idea that something is going to come across the map in the form of a drop very shortly. I think that's already fairly visible for him, so I'm going to be able to notice that, and maybe we'll go with it as a few lings wander around to the left-hand side. So again, all the complete information now as well. Sees that Robo Bay, already saw the Prism, already has a very good idea of what's going on. Information definitely available for Serral, who's just going to take a few shots moving through. Person coming down, a couple of disruptors. I'm going to try and see if they can cause some trouble as well, but I mean, they really are kind of what you need to do something with here. And if you can get some pressure out with these disruptors, you can obviously then use them through the mid-game as well. We're already heading in towards Colossi as the next stage of this as well. Oh, double kill. Wait, was that 2 queens? It looked like 2 queens. Maybe I'm just seeing things badly. Sorry, I was going to chat a little bit. Either way, actually does get himself a little bit of a pickup at least to sort us out, so we take those. Absolutely. Prism coming back down this right-hand side. A couple of disruptors still inside of it, and it's going to be seeing a couple of launches. See if there's anything else we can get done, but Serral's already kind of evacuating. Tries to catch the Lings there, but the Serral movement is too good once again. They're just going to stop that from happening as well. No problem so far. Let's just see our infestation pick coming up. Melee upgrade coming out. Roach speed is coming out. Yes, yeah. Colossus shot coming out there. So GC Disrupt is going to load back into the Prism. Let's see how Overseer coming around. A couple of Stalkers are going to go and nibble at this Overseer. Apparently we've just lost game sounds. There we go. They just came back. That was very weird. This happened a couple of times. I wonder if it's like an effect or like if it's something in production or if it's like something that they're doing. It's very weird to just kind of like lose game sounds and then they just sort of fade back in. Very strange. Prism has the 2 disruptors in. The Lings are going to come out over to the left-hand side. As we drop down, that's a dead queen. Problem is, that's all the disruptors have found. They denied a little bit of mining time here and there. They have kept Serral a little bit busy, I suppose. Now Creator is up onto Colossi. Blink +1. Dark Shrine on a follow-up as well. Has he slowed Serral down enough? Serral's also moving along nicely. +1 melee is finishing. He's going to have himself Baneling speed starting up. Hive is on the way, but is it enough to actually defend right now? Colossi shots. Creep Teamer will get knocked down immediately. It's going to be seeing our Nexus set up over on that left-hand side, so just going to try and take a 4th. I really was a little bit worried for Serral's army if Creator had pushed, but one of those attacks, I guess, which kind of looks scary on kind of off creep, and then you get onto creep, and it's like, oh, actually, you kind of have a really bad time, right? And Creator's doing what he needs to do with this build, which is, you know, staying very active with the disruptors, just taking a little chip damage when he can find it. And you're not going overboard. He's not trying to force it too much. He's not losing the disruptors. He's just taking what he can get while building up a strong, solid army behind it with the tech and the upgrades that he would like to play with. Not going to say that that's, you know, I mean, I like the setup, I like the idea, but it is still a fairly dangerous game. Because you're playing against Serral, who we know is so good in the later stages, right? So good in the later stages. Well, Viper's going to go consuming up an Extractor. Stalker's going to knock down 1 Creep Tumor already. He's going to take out the first there, and well, this is going to be the beginning of carving a push down into the Serral side of the map. It's got to start somewhere. He's still not overly eager about going onto the map for too long, though, is he? He's still a little bit cautious, hanging back a little bit there as well, just trying to make sure he's going to be okay. Well, Serral maxed out. He's going to actually be the aggressor, so it's actually nice for Cray to be defending right now. That's a massive first disruptor shot, but it doesn't land it. ABYDOS cancelled it, and then the next disruptor shot that maybe could have been good went too far. It went beyond the army, so Serral with some great ABYDOS finding the perfect targets to minimize the damage he was about to take. So we'll just pull back 60 new Lings on the way. That'll be a whole ton of additional Banelings once they are on the map and ready to fight. Stalker's fighting. The Ravager is already just taking a shot or so. The Ling is just coming across. They will just defend these couple of Adepts. Nice to see, though, Creator still finding some activity and gets a few drones out of it. So it's not just about Serral attacking and Creator trying to find a defense. Creator is still kind of feeling comfortable enough to make a couple plays himself. He's still active with these Stalkers. He's looking for a couple of chips on a couple of units right away, and then backing away to try and make this overall a bit of an efficient trade. As we're going to start your turn and fight here, the Colossus starts to put in some damage. Prism loading up, peels away to the side. Abduct on the Colossus and an Archon. Get rid of those units very quickly. We have enough to get through these Archons. They're very tanky, and I just don't think there's quite enough there for Serral to really justify going all the way through. He kills 16 probes during this, wipes out that left side mineral line apparently, as he is now rolling Banes towards this mineral line, but he will find 4 more, maybe not as efficient a trade, actually make it 6 more. Not as efficient of a trade, though, as what he might have liked for that amount of Banes. However, can't really complain. If you're doing the damage, then you're doing the damage, and 9 times out of 10, that's the main thing you gotta look for in these scenarios. Bit of Spire on the way from Serral too, so he's saying, yeah, maybe I can't end the game with this army of my own, especially on a map like Bresvan. You know, it can be difficult to push into my opponent in those scenarios, so maybe better for me to just sort of say, cool, get the Great Spire, play what can be seen as a little bit of a longer game, you know, a later game setup. I don't think there's anything wrong with that idea, as our Stalkers having a blink back. Serral is going to go poking forward one more time. He might trade once more before really kind of slowing it down and go into the Broodlords. We'll see. He might even not feel the need to go Broodlords immediately. He might just want the Broodlords as an option should he not be able to close out the game, as I've mentioned. Bane's coming up this ramp. A few Stalkers going to get chased away, going to get pulled back as well. And now, still just Bane's going a little bit all over the place. Creator dealing with it nicely. He's pulling workers away where he needs to. He's not letting the left side do too much. I mean, as far as defenses go, it was a pretty solid defense across the board. A whole bunch of additional Lings on the way out from Serral. The Great Spire is still coming through. Serral has actually gone to take a bit of an eco lead now that Creator lost some workers and hasn't really focused too heavily on rebuilding them. As there is the Great Spire now finishing up. Still around the bottom, gonna take down a creep tumor, gonna see our Ling Ravager Bane coming across as well, gonna try and find a wraparound here. The Stalkers start to take some pretty hefty damage. I have to actually recall away there as Creator, and I am worried about the fact that his economy is quite clearly slipped. Just hasn't really recovered from some of these Baneling run-bys. It's definitely starting to become a bit of a shame as Bane's over here, going to find some probes. Creator's been so good at kind of moving the probes away, but this time there's just too much going on, and, well, his entire army is now no longer existing. 21 probes dead, the army is gone. Looks as though Serral is going to pick up another map here in these World Team League playoffs. He was 23-1 coming into today. A map win here puts him to 26-1 in the Codes this season through the regular season and playoffs. Serral is on. Oh, heads up on that. As we do head into top right corner of the map, it is going to be our blue Protoss player looking to try and find a win on his own map. If he chooses to play Altitude, it is Creator. I wonder if he just feels as though he can play like a long game, maybe go straight to Sky Toss, and maybe that's where he can feel very comfortable. Just don't know if that's the kind of game you want to play against this man in the bottom left, an absolute beast in StarCraft 2. It is Serral. Okay, simulator coming up here, hatchery and a drone coming through, making a couple of drones actually coming in for the moment as we get this all set up. Aren't just a big map? If I'm Serral, I'm a little concerned what the hell Creator is doing. On a map like this that typically is pretty good for the Zerg, even ZvP is oftentimes not seen because sometimes it makes it through to a best of 3. I feel like it's weird for the pros to pick it, but like I say, if you're comfortable kind of going in towards, like, you know, a rush towards carriers and so on, it can actually be pretty good for you. And again, I think that would be my biggest guess as to what Creator is planning here. Problem is, you can have your own plan, you can try and do what you want, but whether it's going to be allowed to happen by Serral is almost a whole new question. So it's not the kind of guy to let people get away with things. Probably coming across the map from Korea, heading down to the bottom left. Cybercore coming in, Stargate coming up, the Adept is on the way out. These couple Lings is going to come through and chip through that probe for. And get a little bit more damage, nothing too out the ordinary, nothing too crazy. Just early game movement between these two. Stargate coming up, gonna see the Warp Gate and the Stalkers coming out as well. Again, just a lot more kind of what we expect to see. No surprise about the Stargate. This really is a map where you're almost always going to play Stargate. If you're not playing Stargate here, I do think you were wrong to pick it. Unless you've got like a very sneaky build. And even then, I feel like you open one Oracle at least just to try and start selling the idea you go in Stargate before you do something more ridiculous, right? I feel like that is almost just something that has to happen in a way. So the speed is coming through. Going to finish up in a couple moments. Warp coming out, and what are we building off this Oracle? Off this Stargate. More Oracles, just because sometimes Creator does go into the Void Ray. It's a question we can ask. Does turn out to be the case as our Stalker gonna go after our Overlord. Smoke coming up, couple Queens on the way, drones coming out. Oracle coming through, Nexus on the way. Couple probes, Twilight Council. I'm just going to be seeing a couple of Overlords coming out the front. Just getting spread. Everything's very standard here, guys. Triple Oracle. Like I say, probably into Blink, but not an aggressive Blink. Maybe just a fourth base and, like I say, a faster fleet beacon in towards those carriers. That'd be my best prediction. Things coming over, couple of Adepts. Evil Chamber coming up. Well, that's about halfway done. Charge +1 all continuing through. Just going to be seeing our Oracle turned around. Got to be careful. Obviously, there's a lot of strength in these Oracles and in keeping them alive. Don't want to just give one up to a Queen super early or anything. No reason for that. It's obviously, you want to do damage, but a couple drones doesn't justify throwing the Oracles away, you know? +1 missiles, Roach speed coming up. Queen on the way out as we get everything set up for a few moments here. Obviously, the Spire comes down from Serral, which is a little bit of a mix-up, a little bit of a change for him. He's going to do things a little bit differently. Six drones going down. see now a couple of Zods coming out here to help get down a couple of those Lings, which are trying to get a little bit creative and active as well. Nothing too crazy though, nothing too exhilarating. It really is kind of waiting on this Spire from Serral. Excited to see what he can pull out of the Spire. Excited to see if some Mut. I mean, the thing is, it's like you play Mutas on this map. It's a massive map, so it really does just benefit you going Mutas, for example. So that's kind of scary for Creator to try and play against Mutas on a map this size. Obviously, especially if he doesn't have a heads up that it's a Spire, you don't preemptively get some Phoenix. Serral goes like a big Muta cloud. It's gonna be really hard to fight against. Hallucinations need to go and make their scout rather than going after overlords. I don't believe we've seen that Spire yet, so if he had, I think he'd be doing more to kind of set up against it, specifically building some real Phoenix instead of hallucinations. Oracle's just coming about and moving around. The 17 roaches coming up behind these Mutas. Might just be that we go for the Mutas initially, you put some pressure on with these Mutas, and the follow-up is then just to see if you can overwhelm the roaches on the ground. That's the next step. Would be a reasonable approach. Here's fly in, just going to be seeing a couple of these Stalkers will begin to go down. And the Stalker's going to turn onto those Mutas as well, so a little bit of back and forth here. There is the Fleet Beacon, by the way, 2 more Stargates, although in this case, we're probably just going to build Phoenix and Phoenix range more so than that quick switch into carriers that was, you know, that I think kind of past that moment that I was talking about before in terms of what I thought maybe Creator might go for. Is a few Lings supporting in the natural, going to help to get rid of an Archon. The battery already fell as well. And Serral putting on some very good pressure at the moment, really, yeah, pushing his opponent around just a little bit. We're just trying to come to the high ground there, seeing what they can do. Let's see, you don't want to get too involved, especially when the disruptors are about, because the last thing you want to do is to run into, you know, some disruptors that you can't actually deal with at all. And it's looking pretty comfortable still for Serral, who dodges a disruptor shot here. He might go swarming up this ramp, and then is there a splash damage to take down this Roach army? The Archons are getting one shot, so they're not lasting very long. Now it's Geo units against what is really a very healthy chunk of Roach Ravager. He's going to get in range of that disruptor, denies it before it will connect. Serral knowing where he can trade, where he can stand and fight, and it looks as though he's honestly just beginning to overwhelm completely. This Creator is not having the best of times. A couple of Phoenix pinging their way through some Ravagers. And we've seen a Zealot warping in, a couple more Disruptors coming out. Disruptor there just getting denied, and our Roach is going to turn back around once more. Go toward those few Stalkers and see what else they might be able to find here. Serral up maxed out against 110 supply, and it does feel as though he's done enough with this. The Mutas into just the Roach Ravager swarm. His dodges against the Disruptors were good enough. I mean, that's what it really came down to. Not just his dodges, but his ability to kill off some of these Disruptors. So he's been able to actually say, hey, look, yeah, you had kind of the answer to what I'm building, but now I'm going to get rid of it, so you're constantly only on 1 or 2 Disruptors at any single point. Oh, beautiful split away there as well. Serral with the cool moves to make sure that that Disruptor will do absolutely nothing. And Serral looking absolutely fantastico here as a Disruptor shot comes in. A couple Roaches will get knocked down. 9 probes going down. I mean, Creator has just completely lost control of this game. There is no recovering this one. Sometimes the best thing you can do is just to get out of there and